Hi, my name's Declan Goodman and I'm the host of the Digital Mythology Podcast. Welcome. I'm very excited about this podcast. I've been in IT tech for too many years. You can tell by the grey hair. I am very excited to start this podcast. It's about, in my view, digital transformation is difficult. It's hard work and a lot of money spent on it. But what, in my view, there hasn't been enough investment on is telling the story. Everybody loves a good story. Everybody needs a story they can connect with, they can feel. Everybody needs to be able to identify with a good story. And that's what I'm here to do in this podcast, to help you use tips and tricks from ancient mythology, from modern day approaches to digital tech, to win the hearts and minds of your stakeholders, to use metaphors so that you can gain understanding and to ignite their passion and interest in what you're doing so you win stakeholder buy-in and you can be overall more successful. I will be inviting guests onto the podcast. I want to hear from people's experience in this space, and I'm very excited to be able to do this with my audience and to talk through tips and tricks on how to make things overall more successful for you. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hello, welcome. My name's Declan Goodman. I'm your podcast host. I created this Digital Mythology Podcast to share and to talk about how ancient mythology and old belief systems, in my view, can greatly enhance your digital transformation journey. One of the things I'll be talking about as well is storytelling and how important it is to have a good story. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, my story. So I grew up in Ireland, and when I was a young fella, my brother used to work on the boats up in Donegal. And I was quite young, and he'd come home after a few days away and he'd talk about all the things he did on the boats. He was a fitter turner. And he'd talk about how at times they'd have to replace the old camshafts or put in new technology for enhanced radars. And he'd talk all the time about tech. But it wasn't the technology changes that I remembered. In fact, what struck me was when he told the stories and I was sitting there listening, I was really in awe and very excited about everything he did. It wasn't because I understood the difference between hydraulic pumps or pneumatic valves. All of that technology stuff is not what I heard. What I felt was that he was making changes to underlying technology on these boats to keep fishermen safer or to help them be more efficient in sourcing out schools of fish or making changes to their operations when things broke down, how to build redundancy into the technology so that they stayed safe and long out at sea. And the reason I wanted to share that with you is because that was me at a young age, where I realised that to connect with people and what people do, you really have to be able to build a story. And stories are nothing new. And I have a particular interest in stories because I have a particular interest in ancient and old mythology, as well as modern digital tech. So you might not think they go well together, but I have found out over the years that they're actually quite close brothers, if you will, in telling this overall story. So I came out to Australia about 20 years ago from Ireland, and I worked around technology over 20 years out here. I moved around a bit, went over to different parts of the world, worked for major Fortune 500 clients, down to startups. I worked across many different industries, and my specialty is generally digital strategy, architecture, and digital leadership. What I found was there's a whole lot of money invested in technology, digital transformation, digital programs, wisely spent in tools, in technology and capability. But where there's often a gap is how to get the digital transformation buy-in and story told to your business, to your non-technical stakeholders. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to raise the game a little bit. I think it's a gap. I think there's, for some reason, I'm not sure why, and I can maybe reflect on it, and you can help me do that, is we're very good at investing in digital technology and putting together frameworks and proprietary tools and open source, and there's lots of reference models and all of these wonderful things, but we still don't have a clear way of engaging non-technical stakeholders. And often the non-technical stakeholders are the most important people in the room, right? Because they're the ones funding your ERP replacement or your digital growth program. And yet we're letting them down a little bit, because we can talk buzzwords, we can say technology, debt remediation, talk about consolidation, talk about digital innovation, automation, all the Shins. And I'll talk about Shin in a moment, different kind of Shin. But all of these technical terms, really, they're just ways of explaining that there's complexity to be simplified. And yet what we haven't done a good job of is do what my brother did, which is come to the kitchen table and have people around us who are on our team, who want to work with us, and just connect and explain to them in simple language with a emotional aspect to it, what we're trying to do. Why is that important? Because if you look at the literature, you look around, there's still a lot of digital transformation programs struggling, failing. And in general, if I was to be challenged on it, given my been working for clients for many years, I would say 9 times out of 10, it's not your capability. It's not the choices you're making digitally. It's very often the story's not been told well. To go forward on this, what I'd like to talk about is how am I suggesting we pull all this together? After many years seeing, how using a non-technical language, using metaphors, and how getting a clear hook in with the business can make a huge difference, what I've done is I've come up with a storytelling framework. So the storytelling framework I've introduced has 3 pillars. And I'm going to be using these 3 pillars as I go throughout the episodes. And I mentioned earlier about my Shin. I never used to play much sports, but I've had a few experiences where my Shin has been, how would I say, has had a conflict with force, hard objects like a football boot or the tow bar at the back of your car, right? That's the worst when you hit your Shin. But I'm not talking about that Shin. That's the Shin in your body. What I'm talking about is the first of the pillars is Shin with an X. It's X-I-N. And it's the Chinese term for heart, mind. And I'll be talking about the first pillar is Shin. It's really about how to connect in with a story. So when you're sharing your digital transformation story, the language you use, how you form the narrative, how you go from complex jargon to simple to understand. This is what I'm using the pillar Shin for. So Shin is about using heart, mind, language. The second pillar is metaphor. And really, as you could guess, myths are all about metaphors. And a metaphor is really a powerful way to simplify the story, what you're trying to do, and to engage. So we all use metaphors all the time in common language, but not so much well in digital transformation. So the second pillar is going to be about how do we use metaphors more wisely? How do we make them apt and targeted towards our stakeholders to better tell our digital transformation journey? And then the third pillar is catalyst. So the catalyst pillar is really about that igniting and the passion within our stakeholders and conjuring action and making it clear to them what their part of our digital transformation journey is. So I'll expand more in the later episodes on the 3 pillars. I hope you're as excited as I am about it. In essence, I think this is a very exciting space for me in particular, but I think feedback I've received is it is a gap as I identified. I think we're all very, very good at talking tech And we have plenty of technology experts out there and plenty of extremely well-versed technical narratives, but, and tools, methodologies to do it. But again, where I found the gap was, how do we better tell the story? Because everybody loves stories, and we're just underselling our own investment, and we're underselling all the effort that we've done with just this small little bit of extra tweak. I'm not talking about any major reinvention here. I'm not talking about any, restructuring of your digital capability organization or introducing new tools or methods. It's actually the opposite of that. It's whatever you have today, whether you're a low level maturity or you're establishing out a practice, or whether you're a level 5 streamlined, highly capable, responsive digital enterprise, I would be very strongly encouraging stepping away from all of that and just having a rethink about, is your story been told well? Are there improvements in how you could gain executive business buy-in? Are people clear? Like, is it clear in people's minds what you're trying to do? Have you appealed to the Shin just here, between heart and mind? Have you got a good Shin hook with your stakeholders? Do they feel what you're doing? A good story should be felt, not just heard. Are people excited? Are they clear on what part of your digital transformation journey they play? Are they driven by the same opportunity here? Because tech is amazing, and the opportunity that tech brings every organization is immeasurable, to be fair. Nowadays, what we have here, and I can't wait for the next 5 years to see what kind of tech we're going to have. Is there, where's our customer in all of this? Have we told the story of digital transformation from the customer's view? Could we put ourselves in the customer's shoes? See that metaphor? Could we, what is it about, technical debt remediation that scares people? It's actually a wonderful thing, throwing out the old, bringing in the new. So there's just some examples. This is why I started this podcast, to just bring it back to, digital transformation, digital uplift, whatever we're doing digitally. We can't escape the fact that it's a human journey. There's humans involved, the staff involved, there's customers involved, the suppliers, and just like the way I was sitting at the kitchen table and my older brother used to come and talk all about what he did in the boats, I just felt that connection to why he was doing it. I used metaphors of my own. I was a kid, so when he was talking about camshafts and twin valves, etc., I'd be using my own interpretations, probably back to the toys in my room or something. But, he really did get those stories ignited in me. I mean, in essence, it's really about conjuring wonder and excitement in everybody in your enterprise and your customers, to say, look, tech is amazing. We're so empowered these days to invest in tech. We have a good seat at the executive table. Let's just spend the money wisely, and let's just bring everybody on the journey. Let's do it using the art of storytelling. Let's do it using ancient myth, because we all live a mythological existence, whether we like it or not. We all have our belief systems. We're all working within these narratives. Let's use metaphors more wisely. But, seriously, this is the time to do it. There's so much pace and there's so much going on that I just think, I don't think we should miss this opportunity. So, welcome to the podcast. Looking forward to sharing more. And hope please give me your feedback. Please tell me about some myths of your own, some stories of your own. We've all heard Hansel and Gretel or Humpty Dumpty, and I will map those later to digital transformation. But I want to hear your interpretation of Shin. Shin, heart, mind. It's a Chinese one I've used. Maybe in your language or your culture, you use something different. I'd like to hear some metaphors that you found useful, and catalysts. What techniques have you used? Are there any practical tips you could give about, how to use these, how to inspire. So looking forward to sharing and really introducing hopefully a step change in awareness here with you, the listeners, but also with your stakeholders.